I'm Pratyasha, and in today's class, we will be solving CVT 2022 PG question paper. In my previous class, I had already solved 2023 question paper, and the video has been uploaded on YouTube. So I hope you have all went through the video, you have all watched the video, and you have figured out the questions, and you saw for yourself the questions and the corresponding answers. Okay. So 2022 was also the year when I had appeared for CVT, and in my opinion, the paper was fairly easy because there were questions mainly from British English literature. There were questions from literary theory, and there were also a couple of out of the box questions which I shall address in a while uh, while we solve this question paper, right? Now, before I begin with today's class, let me remind you all about our crash course. So, as you all know, the Dream University has launched this crash course, and a 40-day crash course on CVT PG English. So, in this crash course, you will be you can have access to live classes, and you can also have access to 15 recordings. Besides, you will have access to टेस्ट सीरीज फुल लेंथ टेस्ट सीरीज 40 फुल लेंथ टेस्ट सीरीज जिसमें एक ऑलरेडी दिया गया है देन आपके यू कैन हैव एक्सेस टू व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप and where your doubts and perhaps your doubts and queries will be cleared. Also, your doubts and queries will be cleared in classes, so no need to worry about your doubts and queries. And you will also be a part of the Telegram channel where आपको क्विज दिया जाएगा, डेली क्विज दिया जाएगा जिसको आपको सॉल्व करना है, ठीक है? सो ये है हमारा क्रैश कोर्स एंड यू कैन फाइंड द डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड द लिंक टू एनरोल इन द कोर्स इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स जो हमारा ये यूट्यूब वीडियो के साथ आएगा, ठीक है? सो लेट अस बिगिन with the question paper. So the first question is, who wrote archetypal criticism? Archetypal criticism was written by Northrop Frye. हमारा first option है तो आंसर है Northrop Frye, but let us see the options first. Frederick Jameson is a Marxist critic. Terry Gilton is also a Marxist critic. Stuart Hall is a new critic. Okay, so the correct answer is Northrop Frye. एंड आर्किटेक्चरल क्रिटिसिज्म के बारे में थोड़ा बहुत मैं बता देती हूँ. आर्किटेक्चरल क्रिटिसिज्म इज बेसिकली kind of criticism which was also Northrop Frye along with Carl Jung propounded this criticism, which was that there are certain literary archetypes, and these literary archetypes corresponds to seasons. Okay, natural seasons. That means what? Summer season corresponds to romantic literary archetype. Winter season corresponds to tragic literary archetype, so on and so forth. ठीक है? तो ये archetypal criticism, ये archetypes this archetypes is specially found in Shakespearean plays, and you can go through it. You can look up archetypal criticism. You can see the Northrop Frye's argument on archetypal criticism and the kind of and the there are 4 or 5 types of archetypes if I'm not wrong. So I think you should go through them and remember those archetypes and the association of the archetypes with literary archetypes with seasons and its implication on literature, and why Shakespeare is the one who is regarded or who is chosen to be the one where archetypal criticism, where our literary archetypes are mostly found. Okay, so ये है हमारा पहला question. Second question is, what was the pen name of Samuel Clemens? It is Mark Twain. Joyce Carol, Thomas Hardy, Eric Blair. By the way, Eric Blair is someone. Eric Blair's real name मुझे अभी याद नहीं आ रहा है. बट थॉमस हार्डी तो आपको पता है, जॉयस कैरल भी पता है, बट सैमुअल क्लेमेंस इज मार्क ट्वेन. ओके, तो हमारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन, गिव मी द एक्सटेंशन एंड मोशन एंड आई विल कंस्ट्रक्ट द यूनिवर्स. हु सेड दिस? गैलीलियो. अच्छा, ये क्वेश्चंस थोड़ा आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स है जो मैं बोली, द which I was talking about. Out of the box because we are not, so while we read our literary history or anything regarding related to literature, we have come across all these names, you know, Galileo, William Harvey, Descartes, and Francis Bacon. We have read a couple of Bacon's essays. If we haven't read Bacon's essays, we had at least, we know about Bacon and the kind of, he was a Renaissance um, um, uh, he was a Renaissance man. He was also a mathematician, by the way. Francis Bacon was a mathematician. So this is the same Francis Bacon. I'm talking about the mathematician Francis Bacon and the uh, literally the essayist Francis Bacon, which we can talk about in which we can talk about. So this is our third question. Give me the extension and motion and I will construct the universe. Who said this? Now this is an out of the box question which I was talking about. So out of the box because while we read our literary history or anything related to literature, we know all these names, right? Galileo, he was a scientist who was also a Renaissance scientist. William Harvey, Rene Descartes, Francis Bacon, all these names are associated with literature. Okay, Galileo was a scientist, Harvey was a physician, Descartes was also a philosopher, Bacon was an essayist. By the way, Francis Bacon was also a mathematician who propounded a certain mathematical theory which I don't recall right now. But if you look up Francis Bacon, then it's very interesting to know that this is the same Francis Bacon who wrote some good essays and who was often called the father of modern essays, but he was also a mathematician and he was also a diplomat. Anyway, so that is not our concern, but our concern is that uh, all the four options are associated with Renaissance. But the question asked is who said this? Okay, now the answer is Rene Descartes because this statement is connected to Descartes' philosophy, and that is why the correct answer is Descartes. Now, to answer these questions, I would suggest to look up about Descartes and what what was the context of Descartes, what was the context of this statement. So that will give you additional information not only about Descartes but also about the context, and that will help you to answer questions which are specifically associated with statements or which are specifically associated with who said this and who is the person. It is not always easy to remember the names because when I was appearing for CVT PG 2022 and when I was solving this question, I was sure that I was really not aware of the name of Descartes. So that is why I suggest you all to look up Descartes. You can check out Descartes' philosophy, which is you can read a couple of or you can go through Descartes' philosophy and you can check out the context of this statement. Okay, so this will help you understand the context and it can give you additional information on Descartes himself. Okay, okay, so we move on to our next question. Which Shakespearean play has a character called Prospero? It is The Tempest. This is an easy question. Which of the following texts does not come under science fiction? Does not come under science fiction. So आपको पता है कि science fiction क्या कौन सा है? Now, War of the Worlds is not a science fiction. Lord of the Rings is a science fiction. Journey of the Center to the Earth is not a science fiction. Hard Times is not a science fiction. Lord of the Rings is a science fiction. Journey of the Center to the Earth is a science fiction. Sorry, I mistook the question. Okay. War of the Worlds is a science fiction. The Lord of the Rings is a science fiction. Journey of the Center to the Earth is a science fiction. So the correct answer is Hard Times. Hard Times is an industrial novel by Charles Dickens. So this is not a science fiction. Okay. Who among the following is the first Indian English playwright to have received the Sahitya Academy Award? It is Mahesh Dattani. Mahesh Dattani was the first playwright to have received the Sahitya Academy Award. What following text cannot be classified under magic realism? Magic realism is again a literary genre, and which following text cannot be classified? So 100 Years of Solitude is a magic realist text. It's by García Márquez, Salman Rushdie. The Teen Drum is again a magic realist text, and a Fine Balance. Fine Balance is by Rohinton Mistry. This is not a magic realist text. So the correct answer is A Fine Balance. Option 4. Okay. Okay. So next question. Gayatri Chakraborty's P work translated of Grammatology into English. Who wrote it? Grammatology was written by Jacques Derrida, and Gayatri Chakraborty's P work translated of Grammatology into English. So the text was originally written in French. Now, generally the question is asked that who wrote of Grammatology or who translated of Grammatology into English. But the question here has been asked of who has written of Grammatology. So the correct answer is Jacques Derrida, right? The first novel of Indian English literature is. It's again an easy question. If you have read Indian English literature, first novel of Indian English literature was Rajmohan's Wife. And Satyameva Jayate is not a novel, or I haven't heard of it yet. Kanthapura and Kuli are of course not first Indian English novels. So, as well as his text, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's Rajmohan's Wife was the first novel of Indian English literature. And interestingly, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee has not written any other novel in English after his debut novel Rajmohan's Wife. He completely dedicated his literary career to Bengali literature, and he wrote a lot of historical Bengali fiction which are popular still today. Okay. Next question. A Vindication of the Rights of Women was written by Mary Wollstonecraft. Okay. Simone de Beauvoir, Helen Sixou, Ellen Showalter are they have written phenomenal texts which are celebrated in feminist criticism. But as far as our question is concerned, it is Mary Wollstonecraft. Okay. Thing of Beauty is a Joy Forever occurs in Keats's Endymion. So, Thing of Beauty is a Joy Forever is a line taken from John Keats's poem Endymion. So, the correct answer is Endymion. Rabi has been derived from a play by. Okay, this is a very interesting question. One of my favorite questions because the title of William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. This is a novel by William Faulkner, but the question is it has been derived from a play by which playwright? Now, the sound and the fury is a phrase which occurs in Shakespeare's Tempest. Okay, so this phrase occurs in a speech by Prospero in the last act of the play. So the speech by Prospero is also a very important speech in if you just Google about this phrase. So you can see that the speech by Prospero is really known for its for a lot of issues, and one of those issues is the ephemerality, the temporality of power, of glory, of knowledge. Okay, so the correct answer is William Shakespeare. Okay, then we move on to our next question. Dash in translation is being faithful and accurate to the source language text. It is fidelity. Now, okay, these are the terms related to translation study. Fidelity, none of the above. So these three are the terms related to translation theory or translation. I will call it translation theory. Anyway, so target language. Just brief note on target language and translated language will help you to understand this. Target language is So there are two terms related to translation theory, two important terms. So source language is the text which the original text. So say if the text has been written in Russian, so the Russian is the original source language of the text. And if I want to translate a Russian text into English language, it's target language. Okay, I hope I have tried to explain these two terms. These two terms are very important to know, or these two terms are important to understand translation theory. Okay, okay. Which book begins with "of man's first disobedience"? This is an easy question. Paradise Lost Book 1 begins with this very famous line of man's first disobedience. Of man's first disobedience, and the rest of the speech, as you know, you might remember your BA English syllabus. Pray. Say. Okay. So next question. Which book begins with "of man's first disobedience"? This is, so this is again an easy question. The answer is Paradise Lost. If you remember your BA honors, your BA syllabus and your BA text, then Paradise Lost must have been the text you have studied. So Paradise Lost Book 1 begins with this very first, very famous line of man's first disobedience and etc. It has been a long time and I don't remember Paradise Lost well, but there used to be a time when I remembered this first, the opening speech of Paradise Lost quite well. The dramatic term anagnorisis signifies discovery. Anagnorisis, there are five terms: hubris, hamartia, hubris, peripety, anagnorisis, four terms. So anagnorisis refers discovery. Who wrote the famous work Orientalism? Edward Said. The language of the age is never the language of poetry. Again, I said again, who said question, and this was spoken by Thomas Gray. Okay, so Thomas Gray is also a neoclassical poet. Not a neoclassical poet. Thomas Gray was called the Graveyard School of Poetry. He was pre-romantic poet. So you can his check out the context of this statement. Okay, which among the following novels is not by D.H. Lawrence? Okay, Sons and Lovers is by D.H. Lawrence. Dubliners is by James Joyce. Rainbow and Lady Chatterley's Lover are by D.H. Lawrence. So Dubliners are Dubliners is not a novel by D.H. Lawrence. It's by James Joyce. Who among the following was not an imagist? Okay, imagism as in it's a poetic movement. Ezra Pound propounded the movement. So Ezra Pound, T. Hill, Hilda Doolittle, all these three are imagist poets. Dylan Thomas was not an imagist poet. Dylan Thomas was a movement poet. Martin Esslin introduced the concept of theatre of the absurd. The Myth of Sisyphus was written by Albert Camus, not by Martin Esslin. Martin Esslin introduced the concept of theatre of the absurd, but absurdism as a concept. There is a difference between absurdism and the theatre of the absurd. Theatre of the absurd deals with absurd plays, but absurdism, the concept absurdism was propounded by Albert Camus in his text The Myth of Sisyphus. Okay, so the correct answer is Albert Camus. Okay, the following are components of Sigmund Freud's theory of mind except super-id. Okay, so according to Freud, there are three categories of mind: id, ego, and superego. Super-id is nowhere, or super-id is not a part of, is not a category is not a category of mind. Who wrote the Pickwick Papers? Charles Dickens wrote the Pickwick Papers. Again, an easy question. Pickwick Papers was his debut novel, so we have to study Charles Dickens's novels well. Goblin Market was written by Christina Rossetti. Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot is written by Alexander Pope. Who among the following is the first Afro-American woman to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature? It is Toni Morrison. Nobel Prize winners, Sahitya Academy Prize winners are also important for you to note, for you to know about your upcoming examination. And as you know, if you want to know more about this, you can join our crash course. जो 40 डे का क्रैश कोर्स है एंड उस क्रैश कोर्स में आपको ये सब चीज़ें बताया जाएगा. Apart from that, there will be full length tests, there will be 15 videos and एक टेलीग्राम चैनल में आपको include करा जाएगा जिधर you can get to solve questions, quizzes on uh, on CVT-PG. Okay, so yeah. Whom did John Keats regard as the prime example of negative capability? Negative capability is a term by John Keats, which was um, uh, which was used by or which was propounded by John Keats, and excuse me. And Keats considered Shakespeare to be the prime example of negative capability. Why? Because according to Keats, uh, Shakespeare was the playwright who could distance his personality from the characters he created. Okay, so his characters were impersonal. His characters were different. His characters were impersonal, and the authorial emotions did not interfere with the characters or the emotions of the characters. So that is why Keats considered Shakespeare to be the prime example of negative capability. Who among the following is credited with making the first authoritative dictionary of English language? Samuel Johnson. What is the name of Belinda's lapdog in Alexander Pope's Rape of the Lock? It is Shock. Which of the following plays was not written by Christopher Marlowe? Okay, Tamburlaine was a play by Marlowe. Dr. Faustus was a play by Marlowe. Henry II was not a play by Marlowe. Duke of Malta is again a play by Marlowe. So the correct answer is Henry II. During which of the following periods did the Puritans under the rule of Oliver Cromwell and his Commonwealth shut down all English theatres on religious and moral grounds? Okay, ये आपको पीरियड पूछा मतलब you are being asked to kind of identify the period where the specific literary period where Puritans shut all the theatres. Now, this is a very important period in British literary history, and the correct answer is 1649 to 1660. So, from 1649 to 1660, Oliver Cromwell shut down all theatres in England on religious and moral grounds, because he considered theatres to be uh, kind of he, to be profane, and theatres were not something that propounded good moral values. So that is why he shut down all English theatres. Okay. Arrange the following in correct chronological sequence: William Tyndale's New Testament, Norman Conquest, death of Geoffrey Chaucer, birth of William Shakespeare. So ये भी बहुत आसान है. If you know your history well, then it won't be that difficult for you to answer. Norman Conquest happens first, then the birth of Geoffrey Chaucer, then William Tyndale's New Testament, and then the birth of William Shakespeare. So the correct answer is B, C, D, A. Right? Okay. Who among the following was not a practitioner of new criticism? Okay. I.A. Richards was a new critic. John Crowe Ransom was a new critic. T.S. Eliot also a new critic. M.H. Abrams was not a new critic. So M.H. Abrams is the correct answer. Which of the following is not a partition novel? Tamas, Train to Pakistan, Shadow Lines, God of Small Things. This all these three are partition novels. God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy is not a partition novel, so the correct answer is option number 4, The God of Small Things. Euphemism stands for depiction of a distasteful situation in an alternative way. Euphemism is actually saying something in the roundabout way. मतलब अगर मुझे बहुत कुछ distasteful कुछ बोलना है, कुछ hurtful कुछ बोलना है, I know that if I say this, the other person might get hurt, so I say in such a way that I also say it and the other person might not be able to get or might not be able to feel uh, um, uh, might not get offended. Okay, so euphemism is a very clever way of speaking and also a roundabout way of speaking the same thing. It's a rhetorical strategy. It's a figure of speech. So answer is depiction of distressful situation in an alternative way. Caliban in the Tempest is an anagram of. अच्छा ये क्वेश्चन में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम था as far as I remember because बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऑप्शन 3 मार्क किए थे बट तक आंसर की में ऑप्शन 4 है. So because आंसर की में ऑप्शन 4 है, so the none of the above is the correct answer. Okay, anagram is basically uh, derivation. Okay, but according to the answer ki Caliban is not a derivation of either cannibal or both of them. Okay, so we move on to our next question. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. This is a famous this is the opening line of a very famous poem in W.B. Yeats. The poem is The Second Coming. Who introduced the touchstone method in poetry? Matthew Arnold. ये सब लिटरेरी थ्योरी क्रिटिसिज्म का पार्ट है. मैथ्यू आर्नल्ड इंट्रोड्यूस द टचस्टोन मेथड इन पोएट्री. Salman Rushdie won the Booker of Booker Prize in 1993. Booker of Bookers, he won Booker Prize twice. He won Booker for twice. So he won Booker for Midnight Children 1983 or 4 I think, and he won the Booker of Bookers in 1993 for the Midnight Children. Okay. Jungle, Graves of Wrath, War and Peace, A Tale of Two Cities. War and Peace is by Leo Tolstoy. So C1, Tale of Two Cities is by Charles Dickens. Grave of Wrath, John Steinbeck. Jungle, Upton Sinclair. So the correct answer is A, option number 3. Coleridge's biography Literaria came out in 1817. Dates अच्छे से याद रखना चाहिए जो बहुत important है. मैं बहुत बार बोल I have emphasized the importance of dates and I'm saying it again over and over again. तो I'm also एक बार और आपको याद दिला देती हूँ कि हमारा जो क्रैश कोर्स है ड्रीम यूनिवर्सिटी का, उधर आपको ये 40 डे का क्रैश कोर्स है जिधर आपको where I'll be giving an overview of, or I'll be walking you through the important concepts and terms or important portions of CVT PG examination, where you'll also given to solve a full length 15 full length mock tests and 15 videos, 30 full length video mock tests and 15 videos, and एक टेलीग्राम चैनल है जिधर को इंक्लूड किया जाएगा उधर जिधर आप you can solve quizzes. Okay, ये link description box में दिया गया है, so just go and check it out. Okay, in Dryden's essay of dramatic poesy, who opens the discussion on behalf of the ancients? Crites. Okay, Crites opens the discussion on behalf of the ancients, and Neander opens the discussion on behalf of the modern. All novels are about certain minorities. The individual is a minority. Who said this? It is spoken by Ralph Ellison. Again, who said whose question? I'd suggest you to check out the context of the statement. Waiting for Godot, the famous play, was written by Samuel Beckett. This is also a very easy question. Who is the poet of the Rime of the Ancient Colonial? S.T. Coleridge. Traditional Individual Talent was written by T.S. Eliot. Hind Swaraj was written by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi is also his some of his texts are also included in Indian English, Indian writing in English. So that is why you have this question. Okay. The pen is mightier than sword. This is an example of metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech. So this is an example of actually all four are figure of speech. Shri Premchand. Okay, match the following. Torudat is a sheep gleaned in French fields. Uh, Sarojini Kamala Das is the old playhouse. So and Meena Alexander. Okay, Kamala Das is the old playhouse. Sarojini Naidu, Anthem of Love, Meena Alexander, without plays. The mm, correct answer is option number 2. Okay. Who is the author of the play Final Solutions? Mahesh Dattani. महेश दत्तनी के प्लेस के बारे में थोड़ा जानकारी रखिएगा. Important questions आते हैं. Oh, when the winter comes, can spring be far behind? What figure of speech is used here? Rhetorical question. Question mark है नहीं, but the figure of speech is the rhetorical question. Who among the following is a primary exponent of Gothic romance? Gothic romance, बहुत important. Primary exponent of Gothic romance, not Anne Bronte नहीं है, Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy. ये सभी Victorian है, so Horace Walpole है. Daffodils is a poem by William Wordsworth. Which of the following plays was written by Harold Pinter? The Birthday Party. Okay. D.H. Lawrence uses the expression one bright book of life to describe the novel. And which of the following has not been awarded with the Booker Prize twice? Achha. So I have already said कि Booker Prize winners. ये सब अच्छे से देख के जाइएगा. So Margaret Atwood has been awarded the Booker Prize. Pete C has been awarded the Booker Prize. So is Peter Carey. V.S. Naipaul has not been awarded with the Booker Prize twice. He has been awarded with one Booker Prize, but not twice. So correct answer is V.S. Naipaul. Hamlet, very very important, very famous line. Who is the author of Sexual Politics? Kate Millett. Oh, my love is like a red rose is an example of simile. If you have something like, then of course it's a simile. आँख बंद करके ये simile होगा. Peripety is recognition of error. Hubris है pride. Hamartia had tragic error, and peripety is recognition of error. Who defended poetry against Stephen Gosson's school of abuse? It is Philip Sidney. Which one of the following is regarded as the first English comedy? Ralph Roister Doister. Who wrote the famous work Sherlock Holmes? Arthur Conan Doyle. It's a बहुत easier. Just a minute. Just a minute. So, who wrote Sherlock Holmes? It is Arthur Conan Doyle. बहुत आसान सवाल है. Heathcliff is a character in Wuthering Heights. Odd one out. Horace Walpole, Mrs. Radcliffe, Matthew Lewis, James Boswell. ये भी बहुत आसान है. ये तीनों authors, they are a part of, or they are they usually wrote Gothic fiction, and James Boswell was a biographer. So odd one out is James Boswell. Norman conquest took place in 1066. Dates बहुत important, especially for normal conquest. कब Bible first translation कब हुआ था, and the 1611 King James version. All these are very important. The dates are important. Okay, but at my back I always hear times winged chariot. ये बहुत आसान है. These are the lines by Andrew Marvell. So I think Andrew Marvell is a part of BA Honors English syllabus. So if you go back to your BA English syllabus, then Andrew Marvell, then you must have read this poetry, or you must have heard of Andrew Marvell, and this is from Andrew Marvell's To My Coy Mistress. The word catharsis signifies purgation. The term metaphysical poets was first used by Samuel Johnson. And interestingly, metaphysical poets, metaphysical poets कौन है? Andrew Marvell, John Donne, then Henry Vaughan and one more I guess. So ये चार पांच जो थे metaphysical poets, they were not known by the term metaphysical poets in their lifetime, but it was Samuel Johnson who popularized this term in his Lives of Poets. Negative capability, just a minute. Negative negative capability is a term coined by Keats. So already we have done a question on negative capability. Confessions of an English Opium Eater is written by De Quincey, Thomas De Quincey. Okay. Again odd one out का question है. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Horace. Odd one out is Horace. क्योंकि Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. So Plato is the student of Socrates. Aristotle is the student of Plato. It's a student-teacher relationship. Horace is not the student of Aristotle. So odd one out is Horace. The Enlightenment was characterized by undue faith in predestination, neglect of free will, Protestant work ethic, and compliance with Christian values of life, belief in universal authority of reason, and emphasis on scientific experimentation, accelerated industrial production, general well-being of the public. Option number 3, belief in universal authority of reason and emphasis on scientific experimentation. Famous play Dr. Faustus is written by Christopher Marlowe. Okay, so this is the end of our question paper, and okay. So I hope you I tried to solve the questions, and I hope you have seen for yourself the questions and the kind of questions that are being asked, and how the pattern has evolved in a year, and what kind of questions can we expect, and the kind of answers I mean the questions you can expect. And okay, and इसके लिए जो पढ़ाई है वो हाँ, वो पढ़ाई हम जो ड्रीम यूनिवर्सिटी का जो क्रैश कोर्स है 40 डेज का, उधर हम प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं. सो I will as the course instructor, I will walk you through the concepts and the basic terms, and just information which is important for you to know for your exam. And बाकी का काम तो आपको ही करना है. So as an instructor, I will just walk you through. I will open the door for you, and it is up to you to step into the horizon that will be open before you, and you see for yourself, you figure out for yourself uh, the wide expanse of knowledge that English literature is. Okay, so और ये हमारा जो क्रैश कोर्स है 40 डे का क्रैश कोर्स है, उधर हम 15 रिकॉर्डिंग्स है, लाइव क्लासेस होगा, रिकॉर्डिंग्स होगा. आपको एक फुल लेंथ टेस्ट 40 फुल लेंथ टेस्ट मिलेगा, एंड टेलीग्राम ग्रुप है. एक टेलीग्राम ग्रुप में आपको इंक्लूड कराया जाएगा, जिधर क्विज मिलेगा आपको डेली क्विज सॉल्व करने के लिए. ओके, सो ऑल्सो एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, जिधर आपको व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में आपको इंक्लूड कराया जाएगा इफ आप अगर आप ये क्रैश कोर्स मतलब अगर ये आप ये क्रैश कोर्स में इंक्लूड होना चाहते हैं. So if you want to join the crash course, so do it as soon as possible. Seats are filling up fast, and you will also be included in a WhatsApp group, and we'll be starting our classes from 15 January. So all the correspondences regarding the classes will be addressed in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so yeah, I hope that was okay. So I hope I hope I made myself clear, and if you haven't enrolled in the classes, so do it quickly, because it's a feeling of fast. And yeah, that's all for today. So we'll meet on 15 Jan. Our classes are starting, so just study hard, prepare well, and I hope you crack your exams and ace your exams well. Okay, and you get your dream university. With this note, with this positive note, I end today's class. Thank you.